everybody. It's good to see you all. Hope you guys are doing good. Let me pause this music real quick so y'all can actually hear me. Hope you guys are doing good. Hi, I am Mambo Soleil. I am a priestess of Haitian Vodou, um, also a priestess of American Hoodoo. I am the founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program, and I'm also the coven mother of the Vision of Dawntor coven. So hello, hi. You guys, hopefully if you're here, you're used to seeing me. If not, welcome and hello. This is a lecture that is a part of a lecture series that I have been doing for a while now. It's been a couple months since I've done a lecture, but hopefully we can finish out the year very strong, and I'll be here giving these free lectures regularly. So I hope that you guys had some time to read the title of the course as you came in. And we're going to be talking about spiritual hygiene today. I named the course what I did, Focus on Your Assignment, because that's how we mess up a lot of times in life. That's how we get ourselves into difficult situations, by not focusing on our own assignment, by not minding our own business, right? So, and we don't talk about that enough in terms of the spiritual complications that it can cause for us when we don't mind our own business, when we don't focus on our assignment, when we are not grateful for what's going on in our life. So I want to have a little bit of a chat today about how that impacts us spiritually, the kind of problems that it will cause for us, how to avoid this particular form of self-sabotage. And then we're going to wrap it up with a lesson about the tarot. You guys know tarot. I'm not going to say it's my primary form of divination, but it is the form of divination that people know me best for. So I want to use some examples in the tarot just to get you guys to understand the concept and how it is you can hold better boundaries and be better about managing and being mindful of your spiritual hygiene. So I didn't write down a definition, but I'm going to define spiritual hygiene. Hey, Brital. Hey, Tel. Hey, Jessica. For those of you guys who are here for the first time, if you're new for whatever reason, introduce yourself when you come into the room. Just say hi so that I know who I'm talking to. And hit the scales. Hit the scale emojis. The scales give me power. They have a direct link to my spiritual name. So just hit them so that I know you're with me and that you're present. Share this video. Like this video. And if you are not already subscribed to my channel, take a moment to subscribe. I go live regularly, at minimum once or twice a week. And every Sunday I give weekly energy readings. So make sure that you are that you're on my channel, that you're subscribed to my channel. Okay, so spiritual hygiene. It's very similar to physical hygiene. It is the habits, the practices, the things we engage in to keep our spiritual energy and spaces clean. That's a very quick and concise definition of what spiritual hygiene is. Now, spiritual hygiene is deeply important. It's very important, especially if you are on your spiritual journey. Every person should have a spiritual hygiene routine and practices that they engage in. When we do not engage in spiritual hygiene, we make ourselves vulnerable to a lot of energies that will drain us, that can make us sick, that can steal our light. And honestly, if you fuck around and find out, you can have such bad spiritual hygiene that you welcome early death, that you welcome, I'm not exaggerating, right? Spiritual hygiene is very important. And just like physical hygiene, spiritual hygiene involves us being mindful of who we share energy, intimacy, interaction with, right? And so, again, if you guys are not familiar with the concept of spiritual hygiene, I've taught other classes about spiritual hygiene. There will be more classes about spiritual hygiene here in the future, okay? But I want to get into what a lot of you guys are here for. You guys saw the title. You want to talk a little bit more about it, right? We suck as a society in minding our own business. We are terrible at it. We are terrible. And the more I'll just say it, the more you grow up in, melanin-free spaces, depending on what kind of job you are, how high your level of education is, you can get really used to people being all up in your business, to being all up in other people's business, because that's a problem too. Just as much as we need to not be in other people's business, we need to keep our business to ourselves, right? Leaving little messes, trauma dumping everywhere you go, that is a form of not minding your business, right? Because it's your business. It's your business to keep and figure out. Throwing it at other people constantly, unsolicited, is spiritually dirty. It is not practicing spiritual hygiene, okay? But we can get ourselves into a lot of nasty situations, difficult situations, uncomfortable situations when we are not minding our business, right? And what I mean when I say focus on our assignment is to focus on our path, right? One of the most spiritually unclean thing we can do, but it's something that we unfortunately do on a daily basis because we live in a social media era, is to engage in comparison. Okay? And when we engage in comparison, somebody said, Bertal said I'm glowing. Thank you, Monze. I appreciate that. When we get wrapped up in other people's business, when we engage in that spirit of comparison, it takes our focus off of our assignment, right? I don't know how many of you guys ever tried to cheat in high school or middle school. I'll tell them myself. It did not go well. What I was told before I got yelled at, I was warned once and I didn't listen, hard-headed Taurus. But what I was told before I got yelled at and sent to the office was, look at your own paper. Focus on your own assignment. When we focus on other people's assignments, we get ourselves in trouble. We get so wrapped up in what it is that they're doing that we feel like our answers, our solutions, our path is not enough. And it is the easiest way to distract yourself and to lose your joy, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. So we can't be out here getting so wrapped up in what other people are doing that we lose sight of our purpose, and then we fall off of our path, and then we get distracted and we don't complete our assignment while we are here on earth. Some of you guys are so wrapped up, and I've been this way too. When I was in my late 20s, before Saturn return beat my butt, right? I was deeply invested in everybody else's business. I was nosy. I was a gossip, still a little bit of gossip. I'm trying to heal through that. I'm not as malicious as I used to be about it, but I was so wrapped up in other people's business that I wasn't doing my own personal work. I wasn't figuring out what I wanted for my life. I wasn't figuring out what my career path was. I was operating on autopilot into a career path that other people felt respectable, but it brought me a lot of displeasure. I was not happy in academia, and I needed to believe that because it was exclusive and other people wanted to be there, that somehow it was precious and that it was enough. But my dissatisfaction with it made me hyperfixate on what everybody else was doing. And then I wasted a lot of time where I could have been focusing on the assignment that brings me pleasure, that brings me joy, that puts me in alignment and puts me in my purpose, that, it was no point to it. So I would like to see you all who have tuned in today learn this message while you have time on your side. And here's the thing, doesn't matter what age you are. If you are on the other side of the dirt, if you woke up this morning and you have if you have breath in your lungs, time is on your side, right? So while time is on your side and you can really conquer this poor behavior, conquer this thing that can lead to character deficits, I really want to help you guys identify it so that you don't engage in it, okay? So what are some ways that we can avoid our assignment? I just talked about one, gossip, comparison. Hyperfixating on what you have, whether or not it's the same amount as somebody else, right? It's very much that 5 of Wands, little kid energy. How dare you give him more fruit snacks than me when all you did was hand these 2 children a packet of fruit snacks, and what's in it is, it is what it is. But again, comparison can make people fall out of relationships. How many people get wrapped up in comparison and get jealous of somebody that is actually somebody that they should be in collaboration and in friendship and teamwork with, and then they fall out with that person because they engage in so much comparison that they stop seeing that person as a collaborator and they start seeing them as competition or an enemy, right? So being wrapped up in not focusing on your assignment can cost you relationships, right? I just talked about my experience. You can lose years of your life working towards progress in something that you care about, right? But also just the stress that it puts on your body. There's wear and tear with not minding your own business. One of the biggest ways that I see mothers, and I've seen a couple fathers do it, but it's predominantly mothers, and it's particularly mothers of adult children. The main way that I've seen them not focus on their assignment is to hyperfixate on their kids and to feel like they are responsible for their adult children, right? You're a mother the whole time your kids are alive and even after they're gone. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be involved in your children, but you guys know what that looks like. The adult parent that doesn't have any business of their own. We're going to talk about how that archetype shows up in the Queens in a little bit, because I know some of you guys are here for the tarot lesson, but we're going to talk about how that archetype shows up in the Queens in a little bit, right? The mother who is so fixated on their children's business that they don't have any business of their own, and they actually actively intervene in the lives of their children and cross their boundaries. That's a classic example of not following your assignment. Your assignment as a parent is to raise your child into a healthy adult who's capable of living their life, not to bring them to adulthood so that you can then control their life, right? And when you don't step out of the way and let them complete their assignment as healthy adults, not only are you fucking them up, but you are using them as a form of distraction, right? And even mothers, sometimes mothers don't do this. I'm saying this as a parentified first daughter, right? Those eldest daughters, we struggle. We struggle with minding our own business. You can't tell us that our siblings are not our children. And sometimes we should go out and we should actually complete that degree. We should move away and find a husband. We should move away and start that business. There's so many things that we should be doing as eldest siblings, particularly eldest daughters, that we don't do because we're groomed to not focus on our assignment. We're taught that if our siblings are not protected and they're not okay, that somehow we are failing, right? Hunsi Farasi says we definitely struggle, especially when there's a large age gap. There's a big age gap in my family. I'm one of 10. My youngest sibling, people always think that's my child. So that's how big our age gap is, right? And I remember being actively responsible for him. All my younger siblings, but him and those youngest 3 in particular, and that's something, because we're not taught to do it, it is our responsibility to figure out how to carve out that space, how to be able to be focused on our assignment, be focused on our own personal life path, right? But yeah, those are just some common ways that we can get wrapped up in minding the business of others that take us out of attunement with our spirituality. But it also leads us, again, taking it back to this point about spiritual hygiene. I don't mean to be vulgar, but the same way you shouldn't be fucking everybody, you shouldn't be in everybody's business, right? How many times have we got wrapped up in social illness because we were so fixated on somebody else's business, right? And we can't control whether or not somebody else exercises good spiritual hygiene. But when we get into the business of other people who have bad spiritual hygiene, what do you think? We pick up those energetic and spiritual diseases that they deal with, right? We end up being embroiled in all kinds of drama, all kinds of BS, all kinds of fights, all kinds of things that have nothing to do with us, right? How many times, and I'll tell myself, this has happened to me, how many times have you had a friend, colleague, acquaintance who's going through something and you talk to them, and from their perspective, from their testimony, they are the most put upon, burdened, abused person. Somebody is absolutely violating them. So you go and you pick up your pitchfork and you're ready to fight. You are the most active flying monkey on the planet. You windmilling and knuckling up on complete strangers because you done went and got yourself involved in somebody else's business and you took on a fight that don't belong to you. Only to shortly after 7 of Cups, right, get a lot of clarity about the situation and realize that what you were sold was not actually happening. That's poor spiritual hygiene. You are putting yourself in dirty environments based off of the word of a person who's not telling you the truth. It is equivalent to laying down in bed with somebody who is not revealing to you that they are not clean, that they have some sort of STI, right? You got to work better. You got to be careful. Stop picking up fights that ain't got nothing to do with you. That's bad spiritual hygiene. Because a lot of times you're fighting and windmilling over a situation where there's something so dirty and fucked up and vicious that ain't got nothing to do with you. Bratal said, I stopped doing that shit in my 20s. Baby, I know people in their 40s and 50s that are still doing that goofy shit. A lot of people have not learned that lesson, unfortunately, okay? Or they put themselves back in that environment. That's another thing. Flame from the ashes, great point. How many of you guys have taken yourself out of an environment that you know is spiritually unclean, that causes you spiritual dis-ease, that brings you mental dysfunction? And for nostalgia, for whatever is going on that's causing you to not mind your fucking business, right? You go and willingly put yourself back in that really dirty, filthy, emotional environment. And then you wonder why you're having the same spiritual flare-ups, right, that you dealt with previously. Then you end up beating yourself up because you're like, I already learned this lesson. Yeah, you did. You already learned this lesson, and you went back and you put yourself in the exact same environment that made you sick. That's what happens when we don't mind our own business. You left that environment the first time because you knew it was spiritually unclean. You left that environment because you knew something was making you socially sick. And instead of doing your personal work, instead of finding something to occupy your time, so that you don't suffer from loneliness, so that you don't get tempted by nostalgia, right? Instead of working on yourself, you go back to the thing that hurt you. And then when it hurts you double time, you're mad and you want to throw hexes and you want to hurt people. All of that could have been avoided just with proper spiritual hygiene. Good boundaries, focusing on your assignments, okay? So I have about 6 things that I've written down, just examples of things that happen to us as a result, or reasons why we need to focus on our spiritual hygiene, right? And the very first one I've already talked about is hygienic. Minding your business is spiritually hygienic. When you are in a line, when you are attuned to the spirit of your head, when you are tapped into Ori, when you have your practices in order, when you are moving from a place of good spiritual hygiene, you just have a clean life. You have a clean life. It's that simple. And when you have a clean life, you have a really particular experience. It's just that simple. It's hygienic to focus on your own assignment. You know what your assignment is. You know the deficits within that assignment. You know the homework you have to complete. So you know if you're not strong in math, it's going to take you a little bit longer to complete that part. You know your assignment well. You don't know somebody else's assignment. You don't know it as intimately as they do. And you don't know the dirt and the muck that comes with it. So then when you go and put yourself in that other person's business, you take on all that muck and that disease. So all the work you put into being hygienic goes out the window because you done took on somebody else's dirt. You understand what I'm saying? It is hygienic to focus on your own assignment, to mind your business. It keeps you spiritually clean. It keeps you socially clean. You deal with a lot less muck and disruption and BS when you focus on your own assignment. I cannot tell you how many people I work with where the only sources of disruption in their life come from the fact that they can't mind their own fucking business. They trying to live their mama's life. They trying to live their cousin's life. They trying to live their son or daughter's life. And then that causes all that disruption for them. And then they put themselves on the back burner. It is unhygienic to be overly concerned with other people's business, okay? Second reason why it's really important to focus on your own assignment. It gives you clarity. When you are focused on your own assignment, you have clarity. You know what your strengths are. You know how to attack the beast. Even if you don't fully know it, you know the nature of the beast and you are willing to teach yourself and educate yourself how to go about dealing with it. When you get wrapped up in other people's assignment because their assignment is not yours, you are trying to hold multiple things at the same time and it is going to confuse you. Sometimes we get super worked up about things that don't belong to us, and that is a lack of clarity. If you are so enmeshed in other people's business that you forget that that is not your business, you are not a person that has clarity. You are so deep in that Seven of Cups energy that you really got to find a way out of it, okay? So that's another thing. When we focus on our assignment, that being tapped into your purpose gives you clarity. It gives you vision. It allows you to see clearly. It gives you a way to carve a path so that you can make progress, okay? Minding someone else's business gets your feelings hurt. Absolutely. I agree, Alizone. When we mind other people's business, it gets our feelings hurt, because here's the thing. People are territorial about their business. Even if they don't act like they are, everyone is territorial about their business. And people love to have you in their business when it is convenient for them. But the second that you say something they don't want to hear, as Alizone pointed out, they will fucking hurt your feelings, right? I'll give an example to you, because I had a friend that used to do this shit. I don't talk to her anymore, but I had a friend that used to do this. She would pick these horrible fights with her husband, absolutely horrendous fights with her husband. And then she would want to get on the phone with me and talk about and complain to him. So I would let her vent. Because, again, good friend. But then when something would happen, I'd be like, I'm going to give her a nickname. You know what, Barf Breath? Barf Breath, it's not good to scream at your husband and break his shit. That's actually abusive. So I understand that you're angry with him and that you guys are fighting right now, but Barf Breath, you can't just be breaking your husband's stuff. That's your husband, right? So again, like Alizone said, people will try to hurt you because you're in their business, even though they invited you into the business, because at one point it served them. But the second that you start talking about their accountability, they will hurt you. So Barf Breath did that. Started attacking me. Well, at least I got a husband, and just being really nasty and vicious. I didn't deserve that, but I did deserve it, because I should have stayed in my own business. That's a grown woman, and that's her marriage. That marriage ain't got shit to do with me. Them niggas should not have gotten married if they hate each other that bad. So Barf Breath can deal with her own marital issues. I can stay out of it, and I can be in the peace and comfort of my own home, because I am not dealing with control issues that are so bad that I have to break my husband's things because he says no to me. That's between her, God, and her husband, right? It's really important to mind your own business, because that is a confusion that ain't got nothing to do with you. So why borrow other people's confusion? Why borrow another person's worry, right? So that's one of the other benefits of focusing on your spiritual assignment, focus on your personal assignment, is that it will give you clarity. It'll give you clarity, okay? The other thing, and this is piggybacking off of what Alizone just shared with us, right? When you mind your own business, it keeps you from getting played. Some of us find ourselves in perpetual situations where we get played. People will play in our face, disrespect our name, because we are wrapping ourselves up in someone else's stuff. And the easiest way to get played is to take on a fight that is not yours. You out here windmilling for somebody else's business. And even if you're right, and even if you're a successful fighter, they're going to walk away with all the rewards and benefit that, because you just fought their fight for them. Anytime you do free labor for somebody who will not acknowledge the fact that you did that free labor, you are getting played. Or even, like I said earlier, taking on these fights that are none of your business, that you don't know the full context of. You out here windmilling for strangers. I used to windmill for Barf Breath. I used to windmill for her hard. But then you learn details about things that Barf Breath and other people have done to folks, and it's like, I look like a crazy person. Why am I defending this? Why am I fighting for this person? All of that can be avoided by minding your business. Mind your business. Let other people fight their fights. Because here's the thing. Most people are not as weak and broken as they want to make you seem, or they want to make themselves seem. What they are is lazy, especially Americans. very lazy. We don't want to do our own work. So if we can get somebody else to fight for us, right? But here's the thing. You think you're protecting another person, what actually you're doing is enabling them, and you're holding them back from their spiritual journey. So whatever they're going through, that was put on their plate by their ancestors to work through for a reason. Who the fuck are you to intervene? Who are you? Windmill is killing me. You know what it looks like when people out here windmilling over shit that don't even belong to them. They look insane, right? So that's the third benefit of focusing on your own spiritual assignment, is that it does protect you from being played. The fourth benefit, martyrdom, again, fighting other people's battles, sacrificing yourself at the altar of somebody else's business, right? Martyrdom leads to stress, which leads to illness, okay? There was a study that came out recently that said Black women have high rates of autoimmune disease because they are not processing their emotions. They're stuffing their own emotions down, okay? Every time you martyr yourself for somebody else's business, every time you get so wrapped up in someone else's assignment that you feel like you have to sacrifice yourself for them, know that you may not feel it in that moment, but you are buying yourself illness. You are going to make yourself sick. You are going to make yourself sick. Taking on that excess stress will only turn into inflammation that turns into disease in the body. Okay? That is spiritual. It is. That's why we have to have active throat chakras, right? That's why we have to be tapped in and tapped into our third eye and tapped into our crown so that we can even exercise discernment and understand what is ours and what is not. But when you engage in that level of martyrdom where you are always sacrificing for other people, you are always worked up over somebody else's business, all you're doing is buying yourself stress and worry, and all you're doing is storing sickness in your body. That turns into illness over time. Okay, so that's number 4. Martyrdom leads to stress, which leads to illness. Okay, number 5. The spirit of comparison causes stagnation, okay? The more we compare ourselves to other people, the more we avoid our assignment so that we can keep up with the Joneses or peep into someone's Instagram or compare the size of somebody else's house to our own. The more that we engage in that behavior, the more that we stagnate. We stagnate because all that time we spend comparing, checking off notes, longing for, coveting what other people have, that's time we're sitting in stillness, and that's time that we could have been using to work towards our own goals, to bringing ourselves further along on our own path. Comparison is a form of minding other people's business, and it is one that causes stagnation. Some of you guys right now are not where you want to be because you think that you are not good enough and you're not capable based on what you see people in your peer group doing or what somebody in your family has accomplished. And you're so wrapped up in looking and comparing to what they have that you're wasting precious time that could bring you closer to what it is you want and what it is you need. So that's number 4. When we can focus on our own assignment and stop engaging in the spirit of comparison, we protect ourselves from stagnation that steals our time. Comparison is the thief of joy, yes, but it's also the thief of time. And time is not a resource that you can regenerate. So why waste it focusing on what everybody else got going on? I say this all the time, especially when I have new mentorship students. I say this to them all the time. I would not be where I am on my spiritual journey. I would not be Mambo. I would not have my own coven. I would not have godchildren. I would not have people taking classes from me that respect me. I would not be where I'm at now if when I first entered mentorship, I got so scared and worked up about what Alicia Oko was doing or what Andizo was doing or what Mambo Say was doing that I just sat around and compared myself to them all day. I would not be anywhere. what I did was realize, oh, that's great for them. They're making progress. I got to figure out what my gift is. And in doing that armed me with a set of tools that allowed me not only to heal myself, but to teach other people how to heal themselves. So the Mambo that you're seeing sitting here on camera right now, she would not exist if I would have allowed myself to enter into that beautiful opportunity for education, and I would have used it to compare and beat up on myself and covet and be jealous of other women. It's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time. This is why you have to focus on your own assignment, okay? So we have one more that I want to go through. I'm gonna restate the first four, and then I'm gonna end with the last one because it's an important one, and I don't think we think about it enough. But we talked about it's important to focus on your own assignment because it's hygienic. So it keeps you spiritually clean, your energy spiritually clean, your space and your environment spiritually clean. It also gives you clarity, right? If all you are tapped into is what your responsibility is, and you're not allowing yourself to be distracted by other people's paths and responsibilities, you will have a clarity that will allow you to see a lot of progress in your life, okay? The third thing, focusing on your own assignment, minding your business, keeps you from getting played. Because you can get so wrapped up in somebody else's business, and you can get so wrapped up in whatever narrative they're telling you that you then play yourself by becoming a flying monkey. And then it's not until you realize halfway through windmilling for their bullshit that what they told you is not even true and that you just played yourself. So again, it keeps you from being played. Number 4, martyrdom leads to stress, leads to illness. A lot of us come from a family where we have female elders that died early deaths. Their years were cut short because they did not mind their own business. They had to go and run and bail every cousin out of jail. They had to take custody of, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you raising your kids and somebody else's kids, that's being stretched thin, baby. Every time their son has a fuck up, instead of letting them experience consequences, they have to come through on their cap to save a whole shit and intervene. So many years of doing that will kill you. It will literally shorten the years of your life. I know from experience. I can name multiple women in my family that did that to themselves. It's a huge part of the reason why I operate the way that I do. I don't want to have an early death because I'm so busy living other people's lives that I never get to live my own. But that stress, that extra stress that does not belong to us, gets stored in the body. It turns into inflammation. That turns into illness and disease. So martyrdom becomes stress, becomes disease. So that is something that you can escape when you learn to focus on your own assignment, right? The spirit of comparison. If you can focus on your own assignment, you can avoid the spirit of comparison, and then you won't be forced into periods of stagnation. Right? Now, the last one, this is one that I think a lot of people don't think about, because when I talk about minding our own business, we automatically think about going and digging into other people's business. But sometimes one of the biggest ways we can not mind our own business, and in this context, the minding talks about protecting our business, is by seeking validation from other people. Talking too much about what we got going on in our life. Telling people every single little move that we make and every little tiny bit of progress we have, because we don't stop and think about the fact that we don't always know our haters. Haters are not going to wear a big sign that says, hey, I hate Soleil, fuck Soleil, right? Like sometimes people are saying that they're for you, but they're actually a secret hater. So when we don't mind our business, when we are seeking validation in other people, it gives our haters access and ammunition to use against us. How many of you guys have told somebody that you knew you weren't sure about? You knew you weren't certain about this person. They did things and you weren't 100% sure about them. But for whatever fucking reason, you continued to tell them your business, right? Another friend did, well, ex-friend did this to me. If you guys listen to podcast, I referred to her as single Black female, right? Single Black female was very obsessed with me and jealous of me, but she also felt the need to constantly slander me to other people because she didn't want other people to love me. It was very sick, right? And we had arguments where I would tell her, like, look, it's weird to me that we're fine face to face, but then you'll go hang out with somebody, and then when I go to hang out around that person, they have all this hostility towards me, but somehow you never know about it. Like, how is it always people that you're talking to that have hostility towards me? Hid her hands, act like she didn't understand, right? Then once we fell out, I learned that she was, again, I not learned because I knew it. I got confirmation that that's what she was always doing. And what do you think she was doing? Gathering my business, collecting my business, and using it to weaponize behind my back, right? Focus on your assignment. If you feel like, it's only when we feel like our assignment is not good enough that we seek validation from other people. When you feel like your assignment is not good enough, when you feel like your path is not clear enough, when you exercise gratitude for the responsibilities that the Lord and your ancestors have blessed you with, when you exercise ingratitude towards those things, and then you run to other people, listen to my story, listen to me, make me feel good, validate me, that is a form of not minding your own business. But not only is it not minding your own business, you are giving people access and a blueprint to how to fuck you over and how to hurt you. So we got to be careful. I know a lot of us are aware of the ways that we mind other people's business, but we got to mind our own business too. We got to stop giving everybody access to us. We got to stop giving people all our information, because an insecure person, a narcissist, a person that doesn't want to see you win will turn around and take your stories and weaponize them against you. I've lived a lot of life. I'm on this camera glowing right now, but I'm a lot young, and I have so I'm a lot older than some people think that I am. I've lived a lot of life. If you can see these grays, if they're showing up in the camera, you may know that I've lived a lot of life. I've seen this a lot. I've seen people give folks the tools to destroy them because they didn't know how to be happy and comfortable in their own assignment. And they were so desperate to seek validation from people who ain't got a tenth of what they got going on, that they gave lonely, desperate, hateful, narcissistic people weapons to use against them, 5 of Swords. Be careful. Practice spiritual hygiene. Keep your life clean. It'll make a world of difference. Now let's talk about these queen cards, because I know some of y'all are here like, she said she's going to talk about the tarot. I am. Calm down, okay? Let's get into the tarot. This is not a traditional tarot lesson. So if some of you guys came here tonight thinking that I was going to teach you how to read the entire 72 card deck for free, y'all got me fucked up. That's not what we're doing here tonight. But I am going to talk about the queens. Some of you guys, I know for certain, because there's some familiar names here, some of you guys have taken my class about the queens and mother wounds, right? So you may be familiar with a little bit of what I'm talking about tonight, but I'm going to shift it in just a tiny bit of a different context, right? So you guys know, or you should know if you've taken any of my classes, that the queens are linked to the moon in tarot, right? Whereas the kings are linked to the sun, right? Astrologically. So the suns represent leadership, dominance. They are outward. They are the energy of I am, right? Whereas the queens are insular. They represent the emotions, the shifting tides of the moon, everything connected to water. So they are the energy of I feel. The kings I am, queens I feel, right? So the queen cards in the tarot have a lot of really delicious information about emotional health, how to manage it. Hi, Sandra. Sandra, I don't know why every time I see your name, it makes me happy. I love Sandra. But the queens have a lot of really good, delicious information about our emotions, how to navigate our emotional health, how to understand what's going on with our emotions, how to protect our emotions, right? So I'm going to go through each of the queens, because here's the thing. When we lack proper boundaries, it leads to spiritual uncleanliness. So we have to talk about the queens and boundaries in order to understand how to mind our business and how to keep our energy clean, right? So I'm going to start with, which one of you ladies should I start? Let's start with the Queen of Swords, because I feel like she's the most misunderstood. And because she's the most misunderstood, she's low-key my favorite, right? Queen of Swords, Queen of Swords, Queen, water, of swords, intellect, water of intellect. So we have emotions and intellect in the same body, in the same entity, right? The Queen of Swords is impeccable with her word, right? And the way that she protects her emotions and the ways that she holds people accountable when they don't honor her emotions or when they disrespect her emotions is through how she accesses and uses her word. She is absolutely impeccable with her word, okay? Those of you who are familiar with the 4 agreements, you know that that's one of the 4 agreements. I also just want to point out that I've been talking for about 45 minutes now. I know this is a good class because I'm an amazing teacher. Not received a single love offering. They're not mandatory, but if you want to show your appreciation for this free lecture, go ahead and leave me a love offering. My information is scrolling below, okay? So what does the Queen of Words show us? What does she teach us about spiritual hygiene and how to protect ourselves, about self-care in regards as it relates to spiritual hygiene? Well, you have to be impeccable with your word, and that if you are surrounded by people who are not impeccable with their word and who have violated their word with you, cut them off. Ain't nothing to cut that bitch off. That's one thing about both the King and the Queen of Swords. They will wield that sword if they have to, right? So here she is sitting pretty on her throne, looking out over the clouds. She's seated and she's comfortable in her position. So she doesn't want to necessarily get up, but that sword is in the air because she's letting you know, if you play with me, right? So that's one of the main ways that we can keep healthy boundaries and that we can practice spiritual self-care, right? Is by being impeccable with our word and keeping our boundaries. That involves delivering consequences when people violate boundaries. See, that's the thing. People always want to talk about boundaries all day long. Okay, what happens when those boundaries get violated? What are you going to do? Are you going to actually hold the space that you said you, is the consequence going to be delivered? Queen of Swords does not have a problem with delivering consequences. You break your word with her, you'll figure out what that means. And so we have to be that way. Some of us have been so indoctrinated by this Christian, white, Western Christian grooming that we should be the bigger person, that we should turn the other cheek. It doesn't matter how much people hurt us. We should just take it because love. No, fuck that. If you love yourself, don't let people lie to you. Don't let people play to you. Evaluate people by what they say and how that shows up and whether or not they're keeping their word. Are they impeccable with their word? If they're not, figure that shit out. Let's move over to the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, water of fire. Wands represent ambition. So this can be the queen or the heart of ambition as well, right? This is that bitch. Queen of Wands is that bitch, right? In any deck, the Queen of Wands is always a charismatic woman who finds herself easily in leadership positions. She walks into a room and she turns heads. People notice her. People, they can't figure out whether they want to be her or whether they want to fuck her, okay? This is a beautiful woman of high rank who people notice, and she's unafraid of the responsibility that comes with that. A reality, though, is that Queen of Wands women, along with Queen of Pentacles women, which I'm getting to next, attract a lot of jealousy. They attract a lot of jealousy. Now, in debilitation, when this, or in reversal, because I know a lot of us read reversals, a Queen of Wands is uncomfortable with her charisma. She downplays her charisma, or she's resentful towards it. So because of that, she doesn't acknowledge it. Now, when she's healthy, she understands that jealousy is a reality. Not from an arrogant place, but she knows it's a real thing. Some of you guys let me explain this. The spiritual uncleanliness that you guys display is feigned ignorance. You've disconnected from your worth. You think that downplaying your worth will bring you safety and protection when it does the exact opposite. Okay? If you are a bad bitch and you are trying to convince yourself that you're not one in order to make yourself smaller, to appease people, make them like you, trust me, it actually has the exact opposite effect. Okay? So the Queen of Wands, the way that she protects herself and allows herself to focus on her assignment, the way that she exercises self-care is that she does not diminish. She does not make herself smaller. She's going to take up all her space. Take up space, sis. I love that, the Tony Brown song, Take Up Space. If you guys, I should have played that while I was waiting for class to start. But if you guys ever need a reminder of why it's important to take up space, meditate and reflect on the Queen of Wands and listen to that song. But that is one of the safest ways that you can protect yourself and exercise spiritual hygiene. Stop letting people push you into these small, dirty, nasty, creepy corners. You don't deserve that. Stop playing small. You deserve to take up space at a clean table, at a beautiful throne. So do that. Queen of Pentacles. My other favorite of the Queen, because you know I'm a Taurus and we love money, we love resources, we love our things. Queen of Pentacles is the Queen of money, quite literally. Queen of Pentacles, water of earth, Queen of resources, Queen of abundance. Queen of Pentacles attracts everything she wants with a lot of ease, mostly through her associations. She's somebody that can call in favors very easily because she treats everybody well and she does right by people, right? For the Game of Thrones nerdies and House of Dragon nerdies in the room, Queen of Pentacles in the Game of Thrones deck is Lady Olenna. So think about Lady Olenna, wealth her entire life. Associations and favors she could call in at the drop of a dime. Everybody in that whole kingdom owed something to Lady Olenna. And she used that to her advantage to keep her wealth flowing, okay? So what does that have to do with y'all in the lesson we learned here tonight? Stop loaning people money. Stop loaning people money. Stop giving money away. Let me rephrase that. Don't stop buying people's affection. Queen of Pentacles would never. She only eats and dines with people that can afford the same level and quality of her. She only vacations with people who can afford what she does, right? I fell down a wormhole last week of watching TikTok stories of women falling out with each other on girls' trips, because there's always at least one or two women that show up that ain't got shit, that ain't got no money. If those women were to exercise from their Queen of Pentacles energy, they wouldn't even be on those trips. I'm not saying that you have to judge people or you have to shun them for not having the same amount of resources as you. But again, because Queen of Pentacles has worked hard for what she's attained, she's not trying to lose it. And she understands that if I'm surrounded by other people who don't work as hard as me, who don't honor their associations the same way that I do, then they can potentially put me in a situation where I end up in deficit. Some of you guys have to be honest about those kind of things. Why are you continuing to loan money to people that you know will never, ever pay it back to you? Why do you guys keep inviting people on trips that you know are not going to come prepared and are going to make you dig into your pocket even more? And not only are they not going to be grateful, but they're going to be resentful towards you, because how dare you be a Queen of Pentacles in their energy when they're still stuck in their Page of Pentacles? You exercise spiritual hygiene by focusing on your assignment. And part of focusing on your assignment is understanding where you are and attracting people that are equally yoked. Okay? Again, I'm not saying you have to look down on people that don't have what you have, but if you look up, and you should never be the only successful person in your environment. You should never be the only successful person in your environment. And if you are the only successful person in your environment, you have to ask yourself why you want that. Because there's something going on there that makes you feel like you have to dominate people through your success. And there's a price and a cost to that. It literally costs you money. Stop loaning money to people who aren't going to pay it back. Stop trying to do high class shit with people who don't have lemonade money. You trying to do champagne shit with people who don't even have lemonade money. They can't get a Chick-fil-A lemonade. What are you doing? This is how you keep your environment clean. This helps you focus on your assignment. Because if you are surrounded by people that are equally yoked, that have just as much as you, or even if they don't have just as much as you can see a clear trajectory to how they get it because they work just as hard as you, then you're not going to have to take yourself off of your throne to go and give money to somebody to clean them up and clean them off and fix their situation. So start hanging out with people that are equally yoked. Final one, Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups. Water in double measure. This is the queen of water, the queen of emotions, queen of emotional health. I used to love the Queen of Cups, and now she's the queen that I have the most complicated relationship to, because I think we have way more debilitated Queen of Cups than we recognize in our culture. And that debilitated Queen of Cups energy is painful to be around. Somebody who is constantly sacrificing themselves, who refuses to refill their vessel, who is literally scraping the last drops of what they have in their cup to pour into other people, to the point where they are constantly anxious. They don't see themselves clearly. They are emotionally unstable. They're deeply needy, painfully lonely. Even though they're giving away all the time, they're painfully lonely, right? Now, an aligned, healthy Queen of Cups understands that she can't do shit for nobody else until this vessel, her cup, is completely full. And that is a good way to focus on your assignment and exercise good spiritual hygiene. Why are you giving away your drops? What are you going to survive on when everything is gone? What do you survive on when everything is gone? Why are you pouring everything about yourself into other people who have nothing in their cup, just for them to turn around and be ungrateful to what you've given them and to be resentful towards you because the only little bit they got in their cup is something that came from you? Why are you doing that? Be careful. A healthy Queen of Cups understands that she has to take care of herself first. And that if the care that somebody else requires of her is dependent on her violating herself or putting herself in deficit, that person can't get care. A healthy Queen of Cups is not somebody who's pouring out constantly all the time without boundaries. No, healthy Queen of Cups understands, I don't give my last. I don't give at all. I give from my overflow. And that means that I have to nurture me the best in order to be the best nurturer. That's a good way to help you focus on your assignment. Queen of Cups is not going to go run out there trying to help somebody when she knows her cup is not full. She's going to focus on her assignment, focus on filling up her cup. And then if she's blessed with overflow, she will take that overflow and give it to others in the form of knowledge. Okay? So that's my quick little run through of the queens and what I think that all of them have to teach us about healthy boundaries, about how to take care of ourselves, about what it looks like to use their energy and to use their knowledge to learn about and focus on our own assignment, right? I hope that this conversation has been helpful to a lot of you guys. There's a lot of things going on right now. This full moon from Monday, I don't know about y'all, but it beat my ass. I've had several experiences and have been let down in ways that I was not expecting to. But again, it challenged me to be like, are you going to let this stagnate you, or are you going to just brush yourself off and focus on your own assignment? Are you going to let these things distract you, or are you going to focus on you? And all of you, I strongly hope that you can take the points that I've outlined today, along with the things that I've had to say, the insights I've had to share about the queens, to teach yourself how to be more focused on you. Focus on your assignment. You really can't be out here helping other people until your assignment is done. Again, I don't know how many of you guys are watching this that were former teacher pets, me, right? But my teachers in elementary school would have to tell me that all the time. Tina, finish your assignment. Finish your assignment. And then once you're finished with your assignment, yes, you can then help other people. But that's another, and we have a lecture, another Charm School lecture in the future about spiritual bypassing specifically. But that's one of the biggest reasons why you have to focus on your assignment. Not focusing on your assignment and trying to rush over and help other people is a form of spiritual bypassing. And spiritual bypassing does not get you anywhere. It only puts you in a position where you get burnt out. Okay? I love you all. I'm going to upload this class hopefully tonight, fingers crossed. It will be here on my channel for at least a week for free. And then once it transfers over to my site, I'll let you guys know when that happens and what the cost is. But if you came in late, or if you want to share this with somebody, I strongly encourage you to do so within the next week, because after Friday of next week, after Friday, August 30th, it will not be a public class anymore, okay? For those of you who are watching, there are links in the description that outline all the services and offerings I have at the moment. I'm still offering love and romance readings as well as dream interpretation readings for 50% off at $50. For 2 more days, you can use the code Aquarius at checkout to receive an additional 20% off. And that's not just a code that's good on those readings, it's good on my entire website, okay? The next round of Rich Spirit starts the 2nd week of September. So if you know you have any financial blocks that you want to release and work through, consider joining the ritual. My beautiful goddaughters, the Manzes and the Hunsi of Vision of Dawn Tour, have helped me in establishing a free mentorship program. That free mentorship program launches September 15th. If you are interested in joining, please add yourself to the Facebook group, Sacred Roots, so that you can learn more about my free mentorship program. I feel like that's it. Again, thank you all. It feels good to be back. I love Charm School lectures so much. I be busy, so I don't always get to do them. So it feels good to be back and to be here in this format. I will be back in 3 weeks. We are going to be discussing in the next Charm School lecture the dangers of what I call city girl spirituality. I will outline in that lecture what city girl spirituality is, how I believe we've gotten to this place culturally, where we are bringing, for lack of a better word, hood ratchetry into spirituality, and what the dangers and spiritual costs of that are, okay? So keep your eyes out. 3 Wednesdays from now, I will be back here with the next lecture for Charm School, okay? I love you all. Thank you. I will talk to you all later. Have an amazing Wednesday night and be gentle with yourselves. And I'll see y'all Sunday for the weekly energy reading. Take care.